Alright, what's going on, everybody of the YouTube world? It is Average Player here, back again with another deck profile. As you can tell, it is Phantom Knights. Pure Phantom Knights. I'm just gonna put a disclosure in here. I'm missing a Link 2 monster. It is Verte Anaconda, because my buddy is currently borrowing it for some of his playtests, because he doesn't have one and we just go back and forth and sharing Verte. So that's the only thing that I'm missing out of this deck profile. The side deck, this is basically the same side deck from what I use for my Salamangreat. It's just a little different, with a few different cards you can't tell by the game show. So we'll go over main deck first, Phantom Knights cards first, in monsters, and then spells, and then traps like we normally do. Link monsters, just going to start with the Link 1 and moving up, and then for the extra deck, we're just going to start with the Link 1s and move our way up. Side decks, we're just going to go based off of what it's first. Alright, now let's start it. Just going to toss the side deck and the extra deck off to the side real quick. Alright, obviously when you're playing Phantom Knights, you're going to want to have only like one card at 3. You can play some of the other cards in here at 3. For your Phantom Knights cards anyway, there's a couple other cards you are playing at 3 in here, but for your Phantom Knights cards, the only card you're playing at 3 is the 3 Torn Scales. You play Torn Scales at 3, he is the guy that does it all. Alright, if he's on the field, discard a card, send one Phantom Knights card from your deck to the graveyard. Except himself, if another Phantom Knights card is in your graveyard and banished, he can special summon himself from the graveyard. Basically, not only are you banishing your Phantom Knights to recur advantage, getting stuff to your hand, but he can special summon himself as well. Right, next, you're playing 2 Ancient Cloak and 2 Silent Boots. Ancient Cloak has an effect while on the field. That doesn't really matter. It just basically allows you to target a dark monster on the field, change the defense position, and that monster gains 800 attack and defense until the end of my opponent's turn. And unfortunately, it's not a quick effect, but it can last for 2 turns. But the effect that you like on this card is you banish it from your graveyard to then add the Phantom Knights card from your deck to your hand, which involves obviously Torn Scales, your Silent Boots, and your trap card, Phantom Knights of Shade Brigadine. Alright, so there's those. And the last Phantom Knight card you're going to be playing, it's a 1 of, and it is Ragged Gloves. Alright, you play this card at 1 because you don't want to see it anywhere else. You don't really want to top deck this card. This is a card that you want to dump off your combo, say from using Cherubini's effect or whatever. But you don't want to see it at all in your hand. If you see it in your hand, it's a brick. That's why it's at 1. But it's good because it dumps your Phantom Knights cards to the graveyard. Alright, next, you're going to play a couple 3-ofs here. I'm going to play 3 Kagemuchi Knight. Alright, and keep them off to the side a little bit. And just going to stack them like this, I guess. Make room. And the other card you're going to play at 3 is Tour Guide from the Underworld. Alright, Kagemuchi Knight, when you normal summon a level 3 monster, special summon this card from your hand. Can't be used for synchro, whatever, that doesn't really matter. You're not synchro summoning anything in this deck. It's XE based all. And the next card is Tour Guide from the Underworld. If you play Yu-Gi-Oh! And you do not know what Tour Guide does, go rethink yourself. Everybody knows what Tour Guide does. Special summons level 3 from your deck, can't be used as synchro material. Alright, so those are your next cards. At 3. Next, you got a couple different engines. I'm just going to plop them all out on the field for you. You're playing 1 Seer, Malebranche of the Burning Abyss. 1 Graph, Malebranche of the Burning Abyss. 1 Psychic Tracker. 1 Psychic Wielder. Danger Tsuchinoko. And then Danger Jackalope. Alright? These guys destroy themselves. There's no Burning Abyss monster in the field, but that's why I use Tour Guide, special summon it's out. Their effects are negated, so you don't have to worry about that. You make Cherubini. Do that because they can just recur once per turn. These two special summon themselves if there's a level 3 on the field. They do stuff when used for synchro summons, but you're not really synchro summoning with them. Because like I said, it's XT based deck. Danger Jackalope, Danger Tsuchinoko, Sneck, and Jackalope. You're gonna obviously use it to try to get on the field level 3 if you do. If not, then they special summon themselves anyway. Jackalope summons danger monster from your deck, so you can summon Tsuchinoko. Tsuchinoko just summons itself in general. And if it special summons itself, if your opponent doesn't discard, you get to draw a card, which is always good. Alright. Alright, next is your hand traps. You're playing 4, so side decking is a little awkward. You could play a little bit more if you want to cut down on... You could play a little more hand traps if you say you want to cut down on, you know, a couple of the spell cards in here. I wouldn't blame you. But, you know, also keep in mind that this deck profile is going to change at some point, especially if you go on the ban list and Verte gets hit, or Red Ice Fusion, or Dragoon. So, alright, next to your hand traps, you're playing 2 Ash, 2 Veiler. Alright, that's it for your hand traps. That's all you're playing. You could go 3 and 3, and I would not blame you. Alright, next, like I said, we're playing Dragoon, so Red Eyes Black Dragon, Dark Magician. Next for your spell cards, you play 1 Phantom Knight spell card. Alright, it's the only one that matters is Phantom Knight rank up Magic Force. You can play this at 2. Especially, say, you go to your locals or whatever, people do end up having back row disruption. So, say you have 1 copy of this, it gets blown up, and you can't activate it because it's on your turn. Say they went first and they set a Twin Twisters or whatever. Having another one's completely fine, understandable, but that's only situational. So, there's 1 of that. Next, we're just going to pop out the next 5 spell cards. Rhoda, obviously you're playing a warrior deck. E-Telly, obviously you want to get those other cards to your hand because that searches out the psychics, psychic wielder, psychic tracker, or psychics, you know, because there's no other spell cards that search like the Burning Abysses or anything like that. 1 Called by the Grave, 1 Harpy's Feather Duster, and on top of it all, Red Eyes Fusion. Alright. Rhoda, obviously you know what everybody does. I just told you E-Telly does. Called by the Grave. You can chain to like Ash Blossom or Pankratops or, you know, Dragoon. Say someone's playing more than 1 Dragoon. You can just banish a Dragoon. Can't activate effects of that card for the rest of the turn. Their effects are negated or whatever. Harpy's Feather Dust. Everybody knows this does destroy all spell and traps your opponent controls. Yep, and then Red Ice Fusion summons your Dragoon. You can either top deck it, hard draw it, or you can just make Verte Anaconda. My luck, I always tend to top deck it. And next, for the last 3 spell cards, this is bound to change when the Megaton comes out. Because I'm going to go from playing 3 Forbidden Chalice to probably 3 Crossout Designator. Because Crossout Designator, you do play the Ash Blossom and you do play the Effect Veiler. And that's going to be way better than Forbidden Chalice. In my opinion, it's going to be better than Droplet in that matter. Because in this deck, you do want to go first. It's going to help you a lot. You can go second. But second, you know, there's a lot more room for error when you're going second. Because if you go first, obviously you can set your Ring Up Magic Force on your opponent's turn, counts as disruption. You can summon it with Bardiche on the field. When you do that, it blows up a card because of Bardiche's effect. You know, whatever. Alright, next for traps, we're just going to place them all out. You're playing 1, 2, 3 Fogblade, 1 Sword. Move Fogblade over real quick. 1 Sword and 1 Shade Brigadine. Alright, everyone knows what Fogblade does. Not once per turn negation. If you have more than 1 of it down, you can activate more than 1 of it to negate monsters on the field. That's what makes it really good. Also has an effect in Graveyard, which all these trap cards have, except for Shade Brigadine. So we can banish it, special summon a Phantom Knight. So it's basically an extender. Say you're able to blow it up off of, for some odd reason, you want to use your Rusty Bardiche to blow it up to special summon one from your graveyard. Kind of doing a little bit of extending play. That's a once per turn effect. It's hard once per turn. Sword does the same thing, hard once per turn. But it can also make your monster gain 800 attack. And if it would be destroyed by battle, it's not. And Phantom Knight Sword would be destroyed instead. Shade Brigandine. If you have no trap cards in your graveyard and you can activate this card to turn it was set, it becomes a monster. That's basically it. Alright. And now we're going to be going on to the extra deck over here. Alright. 1 Link Spider. 1 Cheerbeanie. 1 Rusty Bardiche. 1 Nightmare Unicorn. You never know when you can need a Nightmare Unicorn. Especially late game. It's good. And also remember that there's going to be a Vertana Conda in here. Because my buddy's borrowing it right now. And then 1 Appaloosa Bow of Goddess. You know, this basically closes out the game if you're trying to, you know, if it's going longer and your opponent or whatever, you know, they're. How about this? If you know your opponent's playing a combo heavy deck and you know that they're going to be able to recur the resources, say they're playing Drytron, next turn, you can make the Appaloosa and basically stop them from whatever they're doing whenever you want to. Alright? Because you got Disruption, you got more than 1 negate, and all that other fancy stuff. And then Appaloosa is a 4 negate, not once per turn, it's a once per chain, which makes it good. Alright. Next, you're playing the 1 Red Eyes Dark Dragoon, obviously, because you can be playing Vert in the Red Eyes Fusion. Like I said, that's also going to be bound to change, because it's most likely going to get hit. Alright, I'm not going to be able to fit all these XC cards on here, but 1, 2 Break Sword. You don't play 3. You could play 3 if you wanted, especially if Dragoon gets banned. 2 Levier the Sea Dragon. 1 Dark Rebellion. Yeah, I'm just not doing good this deck profile. 1 Dark Requiem. 1 F-Zero Utopic Future. And to top it off, 1 number F-Zero Utopic Draco Future. Alright. You can use 2 Levier to make Utopic, or 2 Break Sword, or a mixture of the 2 to make Utopic Future. Utopic Draco Future, monster negation by detaching. It also takes control of the monster. It's amazing. Dark Requiem is a monster negation by detaching a monster. And that is what you use your Phantom Knight's rank up magic to do. You rank up your Dark Rebellion into him on your opponent's turn, and you summon it to a zone that Rusty Bardiche points to. And then you're going to be set, because then it activates the blow up a card. So that's why you kind of want to wait to proc the effect. Which is, it's still good. It blows up a card, it's a disruption, and your opponent's not going to like it. And then you're probably going to already have a Fog Blade down or something like that. Alright, since you already saw this card, we're on the side deck. Since you already saw this one, going to show it. 1 Gamshiel, 1 Raigeki, 1 Dark Hole, it's the first 3. Raigeki's at 1, so that's what you played at 1. You're only going to have basically 1 Gamshiel to side in. I mean, you could do 3, but just 1 works. And Dark Hole, because Raigeki's at 1, so Dark Hole as well. Next, you know, you're playing against you're playing a combo deck. You're probably going to be bound to play against another combo deck. So why not play 3 Nibiru the Primal Being? The card stops combo decks. This deck can actually play through Nibiru because it likes to be in the graveyard. And unfortunately, the graveyard effects are hard once per turn, but we don't really care about that because there's always some way that you can end with a monster on the field. Probably a Break Sword or a Levier or Vert. Because it's probably what's going to happen if you get Nibiru. You're probably just going to make Vert sit on Dragoon and watch your opponent struggle. Because we're mean like that. Next, now I took out Lancia, and Lancia's a card I change in and out with Droll and Lockbird, really depending on the time and really who I've been playing against a lot. But you're going to play, like I said, 3 Droll and Lockbird. Good card. It stops Drytrons. It doesn't really stop, but it hurts. Cyber Dragons, it hurts. Virtual Worlds. It hurts most decks, actually, nowadays, so I don't know what I'm talking about. Because it stops both players from adding cards on their deck to their hand, except by drawing them. Next is the sleeper card, Contact C. Alright, This is another card I recently added into the side deck since the last side deck video that I did, because Contact C is amazing. Your opponent normally special summons a monster, special summon this card from your hand, and if you do, your opponent can't Xe, Link, or Synchro, or Fusion unless they use Contact C. This card stops Prank Kids, it stops this deck, it stops Phantom Knights, it stops Salads, it stops Sky Striker. You know, because there's no way for them to get rid of it. You know, and it also hurts Sky Striker as well, because say they summon Ray, Contact C, they can use Ray's effect to Link summon, but after that, that's about it. And they can't activate any spell cards because they have a monster in the main monster zone. So Contact C's good. Next for the last three, this card doesn't change. It'll never change. Uno, dos, tres, Solemn Judgment. This card, in my opinion, is still a big FU to everybody. Stops spell and trap cards, and it stops any summon. Solemn Judgment's amazing. In my opinion, it is still the best Solemn card in the game. Alright, Solemn Authority is the worst, Solemn Warning is second worst, Solemn Strike is the second best, and Solemn Judgment is the best. Alright. And then next is gonna be ban list predictions, alright? So there's a few cards that I think are gonna get banned on the next ban list, and it's going to be Meteonis Drytron, because you can use Meteonis Drytron more than once per turn. To Ritual Summon, you can add back the card once per turn. That card's going to get banned. Either Dragoon, Red Ice Fusion, or Vertanaconda is going to get banned. And then they're probably going to, if not ban, then limit that one. What's it called? I'm trying to remember the name of it. I'm drawing a blank now. I just remembered the card's name, and now I don't. It's a Tri-Brigade Revolt. They're gonna limit that or ban it because of its recursion, and then also they're gonna ban Eva. All right, and then limits. I don't think they're gonna limit anything unless it's Tri-Brigade Revolt. And then another thing, they are gonna probably loosen restrictions on a couple cards. They're probably gonna loosen restrictions on, in my opinion, Summon Great Circle or Gazelle. The deck's good already. It's just going to make it a little bit more consistent, which is good. I can also see them probably, or go back to the limits, probably limiting Red Eyes Fusion as well as doing a ban on. If they ban Vertanaconda, they're probably going to limit Red Eyes Fusion. And if they ban Dragoon, there's no need to limit Red Eyes Fusion, and Vertanaconda should be going to 1. That's my opinion, because it stops stuff like that from ever happening again. I don't think there's going to be any cards going to 3. So, other than the cards that are at 2 besides Malicious. Anyway, hope you guys had a great day today. Hope you liked the video. Subscribe. And of course, if you liked the video, drop a like, leave a comment. Let me know where I can change the cards in this deck, and what you think would make it a little bit better. Because, like I always say at the ending of all my videos, when the community gets involved and people start helping each other out, that's how this stuff gets better, and that's how it shows that you care. It also helps people play better, and it also helps the decks be better. One of these days, I'm going to be showing a combo tutorial not only for this deck, but my Salamangreat Great deck, and then Rocket Dragon Link deck. Alright, I tend to go a little fast, but it's okay. Anyway, hope you guys have a great day, and see ya.